Welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Brad Kooima with Kooima Kooima Varilek. And we have seen a little bit of two-sided action in the livestock futures this morning over in the grains. Corn and wheat firming up a little bit, but soybeans are lower. All right, Brad, let's talk about the cattle market. Nice rally yesterday, but a lot of it has been based on some better cash trade news, hasn't it?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Michelle. A little switcheroo. Thanks for working with me. I had a meeting I had to go to Tuesday. This is like the old days here of the holiday trade. Really light volume. My goodness. And
Yeah.
I thought maybe with the computers that things would be a little more steady the same, but extremely light volume. Open interest doesn't seem to change whether we go up or we go down. It seems weird. I thought yesterday, well, let's have a big volume and a good up in the open interest, and it was light volume and a little down in the open interest. Seems like
Yeah.
Nobody cares but you and me, right? But I thought too that one of the catalysts yesterday morning was certainly when the North had bids from a major, and from a major that typically is the slowest to act into the cash country, take the market up to 170, which was, one to mostly two higher than what we did last week. Not that 170 is such an amazing price, but the trend is better, right? So we're starting to straighten out here after this debacle that we went through for the last month or so, which I think is encouraging. The numbers here are not burdensome. In fact, the show list here that I'm most familiar with in my neck of the woods is very, very small. So I don't know, Susan, you got a deal where what I'm hoping it develops here is that, okay, we took a big break in the box beef market at a time where I think it's going to help get it. The way we used to describe it was priced into the consumption, priced into the market. In other words, I think you can sell a lot more $8 ribeyes than you can $12 ribeyes. That's the way it's supposed to work, right? I do think that the break in the beef comes at a time that's maybe good from the standpoint of going into holiday and post-holiday. Usually that demand burst actually in the beef lasts until basically the week before Super Bowl. That's the way I cut my teeth anyway on it. So we'll see. Some of the hamburger cuts are struggling right now. The grind is, but hopefully that'll straighten out here after the holidays. We got to get through some weight, but hopefully these extra Saturdays will help. Packers making a lot of money.
Yeah. I was going to say the Packers are short here, aren't they? I mean, they've been ramping kills up. We only had 44,000 head negotiated cash cattle trade last week. So they've got to be looking for cattle, I would think.
I agree. And I think that's a great point. Shorter bought and closer to the knife, however you want to describe it. Some of these stories that, I had myself and customers, where you're waiting 3, 4, 6, one case 7 weeks to get cattle picked up after they were sold. And now, to my knowledge, we're looking at basically the first full week of January for most of the stuff that got sold here this week anyway, which is much, much better. So, yeah, I think we're getting leverage is a big deal. I keep bringing it up, and it's such a small line between not enough and too many. So again, I'm going to encourage our producers. Let's get current, and let's see if we can't, swing the momentum a little back, leverage back in our favor.
And we haven't seen like a ton of follow through here this morning on the futures board. We've been back and forth, but a little bit of caution here, maybe until we get cash trade confirmation. Plus, we have a cattle on feed report on Friday, so maybe a little caution going into that as well.
So yesterday, the South was bid 170, and they passed. And I think that there's a kind of a mood here that there's a shot that they could get up to 172. I think that would, drag along a discounted futures market. So yes, waiting to see confirmation of that maybe. But I think you make a very good point. This cattle on feed report, we went through a stretch here where cattle on feed reports were just, oh yeah, so what? We'll get the report. No big deal. Well, as you can recall, that the cattle on feed for September was a game changer, a trend changer, really, in my opinion. And then the placement last month was up again. So those of us that are number nerds are going like, well, we've got the smallest cow herd in 60 years. Cows only have one calf for the most part, right? So if we had moved ahead our placements, which is what I believe, big prices. Why wouldn't these guys want to sell feeder cattle ahead? Now you should go into a stretch here where we have less placements. And that's what we're expecting. And that's what I'm expecting too. But let's make sure that it is that way then, So we should have a 3-4 months in a row here, actually, where placements are down, maybe quite a bit. And that should help restore some of the confidence. I thought you could see that the last couple of days where you had the speculator that seems to be more willing to buy deferred live cattle or deferred feeder cattle even, because it's the idea, I don't know about tomorrow, but there's less cattle coming somewhere, kind of a mentality, which I don't disagree with either.
Yeah. And I thought it was encouraging yesterday we could be up when the stock market was down as much as it was. So
no lie, stock market took a dive yesterday.
Yeah.
It's better today, and now we're a little bit lower. So maybe used to be we traded crude oil, right? That's all I had to know. If crude oil's up, the cattle be up. I never quite understood that correlation, but
so hogs up a little bit today and beyond some short covering as we're getting into end of a quarter, end of a year, and whatnot. We had some pretty strong pork exports this morning, so at least it looks like maybe demand is starting to pick up a little bit.
Yes. And gosh, they have to. But yes, decent export news for sure. And that's helpful because there isn't a whole lot of other great news. I mean, average rates are crazy big over a year ago.
And cash can't find a bottom either, can it?
Guys can't get hogs dead on a timely basis, even around here. So they're scheduling out 2-3 weeks, but I don't know. Low prices, a cure for low prices. I'm glad to see the exports pick up. Hopefully that as I've said before, when you have this much supply, you have to have perfect demand. And so far it's all right. We're not at a big price. My goodness. Maybe we can get up out of here just a little bit, but don't get me wrong. I lack confidence in this hog market for sure. And I would sell rallies if I was a hedger.
Yeah, we do have a hogs and pigs report out tomorrow. So we'll remind folks of that if we get some choppy action today as well. Okay. Corn market, new contract lows yesterday. We're trying to bounce, but we've seen some improvements in South American weather. And how big is this Mexican rail issue?
It's a big deal because if they're not our number one customer, they're nearly so. I mean, we just cannot win for losing here in this corn news. Hopefully this is something obviously that'll get resolved. But in the meanwhile, it is causing big problems in those areas that particularly are use that Mexican trade to export into. I wish I had a magic bullet to tell you when that's over. Obviously they've got to resolve it, but it's a problem. It looks like we finally have the wheat market a little bit off our back in terms of that being bearish every day. I guess I'm of the view that I look at from where I sit west of me. They had a big crop. Basis is weak. I go east into more of an ethanol kind of a dominated market, not very far. Basis has firmed, 10, 12, 15 cents in some incidents, and feels like it's going to get firmer yet. You do have this carry in the market. A producer looks at it and says, well, it looks like it's going to get higher. And I think we're going to have to do the function of we're going to have to raise bids a little bit to entice this stuff to come out of storage. But if we rally 20 cents, that's the start, and it's going to be tough after that.
So you think we're going to hold long-term 450 support?
Well, I do, just because I thought if we were going to wreck it, we would have done it already. But so yes, I'm gonna say yes to that. And
$13 beans, we're going to hold there.
Got quite a bit of momentum here off of this change in the weather. I do not like what the chart looks like, frankly. On the other hand, we're not going to put that record crop in place down there at least not in my estimation.
No, I know. And estimates have been coming down.
I know. The next big support, I'm sorry, I'm flipping my chart here a little bit. Yeah, if we can't hold that 13, then we're going to 1275 on the January. But to me, I don't know why we'd have to take out that fall low. Let's assume that area will hold us.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Red Kooima with Kooima Kooima Varilek. That's Markets Now.